So in case you guys don't know, I love my hard-hitting characters.
The superplex! The king-size superplex!
81,000! He just did 81,000 on the flourish. What?
You guys have seen my videos before with Ezra and Asajj and the tank raid, and doing their basic annihilate moves and just having so much fun with doing a lot of damage. Well, now with young Han Solo, we have a new character in the game who can do a ton of damage. Miss Passier tipped me off with this. He tweeted me of a clip of him doing 100,000 damage with his young Han Solo, 4-star gear 11, doing 100,000 damage in wave 6 of a territory battle. And, you know, at that point, I had to try it out for myself. So I geared him up to gear 9, I threw him in against the Rancor raid, and I ended up doing this, and it was so much damage, I basically had to have a guest come along and just narrate the whole match for us. So, a big thank you to Mist for tipping me off to that, and you guys should definitely go check out his channel. There's a link to it down below. In fact, there should be a card up in the corner for you guys to go check it out. So definitely go check out his channel. Big thank you to him again for this. But let's go ahead and dive into the mechanics of what causes Han to do this, and just why he is such a good character for these long matches like a territory battle or a raid, because now we can see that he's got a mechanic we don't see very often where he has bonus offense that carries over through the whole battle instead of just by encounter, like most of them, like with Asajj and her stacking offense that lasts per encounter. The only time we've seen something like this is Darth Sidious with the Omega on his leadership, where Sith allies gain bonus offense every time they score a critical hit, and it lasts until the end of the battle, not the encounter. So each separate phase of a raid or each separate wave of a territory battle is its own encounter, so those offense bonuses for something like Asajj is going to reset every time. But with young Han and with the leadership for Darth Sidious, you are able to actually carry it throughout the whole battle. So let's go ahead and start breaking this down. I'll go over through the mods as well, and let's just start talking about the potential you can have with young Han Solo and the amount of damage that he can absolutely just wreak upon the opposing team. So with young Han, I have now gear 12. I did that for the run that I'm going to show here in a little bit. With him, I have his mod set as crit damage. The crit damage is the only real mod set you're going to need for him, because he's going to get plenty of crit chance through his unique ability. So just get some bonus offense on his arrow. You want crit damage on the triangle. You're going to get better return for crit damage than you will bonus offense here, even with his stacking bonus offense that you're going to get. So always go for crit damage, and then of course offense on the cross as well. You basically want to get some nice speed secondaries, have him go pretty fast. He's going to gain a lot of bonus speed, but having him faster is going to be really great here. And of course also some nice bonus offensive secondaries so that you can really boost up his damage. So you can see he's 168 speed, he's got about plus 40 or 50 speed on him right now, and he's got 3,300, almost 3,400 physical damage on him. So he's got a lot of bonus offense here, and that's what you really want to do. You want to stack up that bonus offense because he's going to get more with it. And this all carries over to his ready for anything unique. Whenever he starts his turn with protection up, he gains plus 10% offense stacking and plus 10% crit chance stacking until the end of battle. So end of battle, not the end of encounter. It's going to go through all phases and ways of a fight. While he is prepared, he has a 70% chance to assist another scoundrel's allies attack during their turn, limited to once per turn. But you don't really need the Zeta to max out his damage, but it is nice if you run him in a team that has several scoundrels on it. That way he can help boost his damage, he can assist, and really help them wipe out the enemy. And of course, the big thing here that's going to cause so much damage is just in time. He deals physical damage to the target enemy, deals 25% bonus damage for each prepared ally. So if all 4 allies have prepared on them, it deals 100% bonus damage for this. Target other ally recovers protection equal to 50% of the damage dealt. If young Han is prepared when he uses this, the target other ally then gains prepared and Han is no longer prepared. Then all prepared allies gain crit damage up for 1 turn, and Han recovers protection equal to 50% of the damage dealt. So with this, if you have prepared on Han, and then you use this ability, it gives protection to both Han and the targeted ally for 50% of the damage dealt. So you can see back in the screenshot where they dealt 316,000 damage, you can notice both Young Han and Raid Han both gain a healing of 158,000. That is protection regeneration. It's absurd amounts of protection regeneration, and this is going to fit into where Young Han could replace some teams that we have right now in the raid, where he could become a much better character than some that we already have there. So that's the mods. Those are the two abilities, and of course you have his upper hand. This is the great thing. This is where he gets protection up. It's a 2-turn cooldown. He uses this ability, he gains protection up for 2 turns. He then gains plus 50 speed for the rest of the encounter. So this is going to reset between waves and the phases. You're going to need to use this again to get that bonus speed, but he can max it up plus 200 speed with this ability. And of course, he gets that protection up. That means he's gonna get the bonus offense and crit chance stacking. And of course, trick shot, this is how he gets prepared. If the target has less than 50% turn meter when he uses attack, he is going to get prepared on himself, and then he can use this with the other special ability just in time to then spread prepared to the other allies. So that's the kit. That's how you want to mod Young Han. Let's go ahead and start talking about his viability for how you like just what he does so well here. Now, the footage that you're seeing of this run here is with me using him in an Akbar-led team with Raid Han, Commander Luke, and BB-8 alongside of him. I was trying to see if I could solo the raid with this team setup, but right now there's still some things I need to iron out, maybe do some remodding, maybe get a little bit better mods on some of them. I may also want to end up switching out Raid Han for Hermit Yoda to get that Master's Train buff on people. So I'm still working on some things here, but I think that with the damage and viability of this team, you could probably solo the raid with it. But again, still working on that. Hopefully I can get an answer to that here soon. But with this, it's a great way to test out the damage capabilities, because you can just keep using that protection up ability with Young Han, and then he just keeps stacking it with the Akbar lead. Every time he uses that ability, it calls an assist from a rebel ally. So he can constantly do this, and of course, if he has prepared on himself, he can then assist Raid Han whenever he uses an ability. So you can use his special to give everybody buffs. You can use Deadeye. Any ability that Raid Han uses during his turn, he has a chance to call in Young Han at the same time. And as we go through this fight, you'll see that Young Han ends up getting over 100,000 damage on his basic towards the end. It just does incredible damage. And I gotta say, his damage here is really Han-tastic. No? Yeah, I guess the puns really are getting out of Han, aren't they? But of course, it's the big special ability that does most of the damage. It completely obliterates enemies towards the end, and you'll see once we get towards the very end of this video in the fight, it ends up dealing over 500,000 damage, and this fight was only in phases 3 and 4. I did not get to try phase 2 this time. I've tried from the beginning of phase 1 to phase 2, but right now I'm doing about 20% left of phase 2 before the boss hits Enrage. So there are still some things to work on here, but I'm gonna keep trying. And right now I've gotta say that young Han Solo could definitely be a useful character to help solo the raid. Puns. So you can use him to help knock out the raid. He can be a solo character for one of your teams in here. Now, Young Han is not just going to be a character to use in the Tank Raid or the Rancor Raid. He is going to have some great usage in the Sith Raid, more than likely. I believe there's one video I've seen so far where someone used a Young Han with a Vandor Chewie and a Scoundrel team led by Lando and did 3.4 million damage in Phase 2 against Darth Sion. So there is some great potential here. His stacking offense can really cause him to do a ton of damage, and with a full Scoundrel team like the person used, that means he can assist on a lot of attacks from these characters when he gets that prepared buff and when they start attacking. He can do a lot of assists, he can really rack up that damage, but you don't just have to use Scoundrels. Bounty Hunters are Scoundrels, by the way, in case you guys didn't know this. All Bounty Hunters are Scoundrels, however, not all Scoundrels are Bounty Hunters. And you can throw Young Han into a Bounty Hunter team. And one team I'm really looking at trying is going to be a Boba Fett-led team with Bossk, Young Han, and then throw in 2 other characters like Sabine and probably General Kenobi, or not General Kenobi, but Wampa. You could potentially do a ton of damage with this team, and you don't really need that protection regeneration too much because Young Han has a lot of it on his own. His special can regenerate protection every time he deals damage. That's going to be a great way to boost the protection on anybody. Bossk is going to taunt a lot on his own. He's going to get a lot of protection. He's going to absorb most of the hits, so you're going to use the protection regeneration on him most of the time. So he's like a better version of Thrawn in this way, and that's why I think that you could replace replace Thrawn in some of these teams, but of course you could also use him in some other phases. With his counters on his special where he gains protection up and counter, you can use him in a Chex Mix team in phase 3 if you really want to. If you can get the prepared buff spread out to everybody and then have him use standalone, he could potentially do a ton of damage with his special there that could just really wipe out a huge chunk of health on Traya. So he could be a great character to use for a Chex Mix team in phase 3. You could probably find some uses for him in phase 4. He could assist a lot, and that could give defense down if you're fighting Nihilus, which is why I don't want to use him in phase 1. But with phase 4, with a team in there somewhere, he could potentially do a lot of damage too, because you can focus his basics over onto Darth Sion, and then you can use his special on Darth Nihilus and do a lot of damage. So there are a lot of things out there we could potentially see with Young Han in the future. Granted, he just came out to the game. He's really only pay to play right now, but once he goes free to play, he is going to be a character that I would consider one of the best damage dealers to have for a raid. He's going to do a lot of damage in the tank raid. He could probably easily fit onto a solo team there, and he could probably fit into a lot of teams in the Sith Raid. He could easily fit into a Scoundrel Bounty Hunter team, and he could probably fit into some of these other teams like Beast Mode and Kenobi Swamp. There are teams out there he could easily fit into and replace characters with and bring a lot more damage to the table. So that is a good look at Young Han in the raid. You can see here he can absolutely annihilate these characters. He can deal a ton of damage, and you see the 500,000 hit at the very end does some great damage. So let me know what you guys think about Young Han. I think that he could be one of the best characters in the game when it comes to damage dealing potential, but I want to know what you guys' thoughts are on this. Let me know what you all think about this down in the comment section. If you guys did enjoy this video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and a big thank you to all of my patrons for their monthly donations to help things with that. That is it for this video, guys. Thanks again for watching, and I will talk to everybody later.